Welcome back, you gorgeous weirdos. Hi, how are you guys doing today? If you're new here, hey, I'm Marlakris. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to show you guys how to actually do dip powder nails because I know a lot of dip systems are not very specific with their instructions, or they leave out steps, or I don't know, some of it could be a little bit wonky. So if you are new to dip powder or if you need a refresher, I'm going to show you how to actually do dip. And I'm going to be trying out the OPI dip system. I have been doing dip nails for what feels like forever. It's been at least 5 years and I've never used the OPI system. So we're going to try that today. I'm going to give you all of my thoughts. So dip nails starts with prep. This is key. This is what's going to be the foundation for your dip powder manicure. This is going to literally make or break your entire manicure. If you want your dip nails to last, prep is essential. Chelsea, my bestie over at Sip and Dip, has been raving forever about this glass cuticle pusher, and I finally jumped on board and I am loving it. I'm taking the slanted side of the cuticle pusher and I am just pushing back my cuticles and it's loosening up all of that dead skin on the nail. Then I'm going to take that pointy side and go right around my cuticle area, right around the skin, kind of almost underneath the skin slightly, and get off all of that dead skin. And you're going to see there's a lot of it. I have not prepped my nails for a manicure in what feels like forever. Y'all know if you've been around for a while, I've been on a press-on kick. But I haven't prepped my nails in about a week and a half to 2 weeks for an actual manicure. And this got so much dead skin off of my nails. If you were to leave all of this on your nail, your dip manicure, even if you're doing gel manicures, whatever kind of manicure you're doing, Gel X, anything, polygel, whatever. If you leave this on your nails are going to lift. That is what's going to cause your manicure to not last as long. So this is essential. You do not want to skip this step. So I went ahead and I removed all of the dead cuticle from all of my nails. The next step in my prep, and this will vary from person to person, I like to take a buffing block. This is a 240 grit buffer, and I'm just going to graze over all of the nails to remove the shine. That's it. Products like dip, gel, what have you, do not like sticking to a shiny surface, so I'm just taking off the surface shine. You do not want to take off layers of your nail. I'm going to cleanse the nail with a little Young Nail Swipe solution. You can use 100% acetone if that's what you have. If you have more oily nails, or if your nails are a little bit stubborn holding on to product, instead of buffing, you may want to use a 150, 180 grit file gently to remove the shine and rough that nail up a little bit before cleansing. So now my prep is done. I did go ahead and put on a coat of peel off base coat because I do want to be able to remove this mani super fast. If you want your manicure to last more than a day or two, do not use peel off base coat. But if you want that kind of situation, I use UNT and I love it. I'll leave it down below. So here's the color that I picked up from OPI. Actually, I got all this stuff from Beyond Polish. I'm not sure if I got it from Beyond Polish or if I got it from Walmart. One of the two. You can get this on Amazon. However, you have to have a license, and that is not me, so I get it elsewhere. We're going to start off with the step one, which is your dip base coat. So a few things to note about dip base coat. Number one, it's glue. Wherever you put the dip base, your powder will stick. So you do not want to get this on your skin. Less is going to be more with this product. I'm only going to start with the tiniest little bead of product. I'm going to put the brush down kind of in the center of my nail. I'm not going up to the cuticle when I put the brush down. Once I get the brush down and I get a majority of the product on the center of the nail, I can gently nudge that brush up to the cuticle area and get full coverage on the nail before I dip into the powder. That is how I like to prevent against flooding my cuticles and my sidewalls. Very precise application. If you find that you have product that has leaked into your sidewall or cuticle, you can take a toothpick or an orange wood stick and just gently clean it up before it dries down. That's going to make your life easier when you go to file and buff and do all that stuff later. So I'm going to repeat that process for each and every nail. Something that I wanted to note, and I'm going to share my experience as I'm going through this with you about the OPI products. The brush on the OPI dip liquids is thick. I don't like it. And this is going to be personal preference, I guess. But I feel like the chubby end of the brush, it just I don't feel like I have very good liquid control with it, and it holds a ton of product. So if you wind up picking up the OPI liquids, you're going to have to know that you want to take off a ton of product before applying this to your nail because the brush holds a ton of liquid. I'm not the biggest fan so far of the dip base coat. As far as dry time, this is a super slow drying dip system. If you like a very slow dry, if you want time to do your nail art, like an ombre or a French or anything like that, or if you just work slower because you're starting out, you're new, or that's just your pace, then you might like this dip liquid. For me, I'm not the biggest fan. If I'm being 100%. The powder so far, I really, really like. Great consistency. It's very fine. It's pretty thin. But the dip liquid for me is meh. I'm not sure if I love it. And it's, again, personal preference thing. You might really, really love this liquid system. For me, it's just not my jam. I prefer the Azure Beauty dip liquids. They're my current favorite dip liquids. They're super cheap. They're on Amazon. I'll leave them down below. They are a medium dry time. The brush is super thin. You have great liquid control. It's a little bit of a thinner consistency too, which makes for thinner layers, which I like. But again, you'll have to make that determination for yourself. Now for my short nails, I like to start off with a full coat of dip, and I'm only going to do 2 coats. That's all I needed. But you'll have to take that and tweak it to suit your nail type and your nail length. If you have longer nails and you need to build up an apex, you can feel free to do that. If you don't want to build up an apex, but you want more layers, if you need more thickness, if you're rough on your nails, you can do that too. This whole system, dip powder in general, is very customizable, so you can do whatever you need to do to make it work for you. I am going to dust off all the excess dip powder before I go in with coat number 2. I just felt my thumbnail and it was still a little bit tacky, so that's where I learned this was a slower drying base liquid. So now I'm going to go in for coat number 2. Coat number 2 is the same exact thing that we did for coat number 1. I'm going to speed through coat number 2 only because it's a little bit repetitive, and again, same exact thing we just did. So I'm going to get the second coat of dip on the nails, and then I'm going to go through activator with you. Real quick, I wanted to note about the dip powder. I'm going to leave the price points up on the screen for you guys for the OPI dip powders. They don't come in small jars. They only come in larger sized jars. I will leave all the info on the screen. But for me, the powders are fine, but I'm never going to go through this giant jar of dip powder. Nor do I want to pay $15-20 for a giant jar of dip powder that I'll never use. So it's my preference to opt for a smaller jar of dip powder and have a wide variety of stuff that I can choose from. But I also really like to support small businesses. So while the OPI powder is fine, I think there are a lot of other businesses, especially small, that are very, very comparable, if not better, than the OPI dip powder. One company that I would highly recommend checking out is Sassy Mouth Dip Powder. I rant and rave about her products literally all the time. I'll leave her info down below in the description box. But the OPI is fine. I have no real complaints other than it's just really nothing special. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up the second dip. I am double dipping, and I'm doing that because the nails seemed a little bit wet still, and I wanted to make sure that the liquid was fully absorbed into the powder before dusting off excess. Otherwise, you're going to gunk up your brush, and nobody wants that. So once you have all the excess powder removed and your dipping is done, I'm going to go ahead with a coat of activator. The activator is what cures and hardens the dip base. It essentially dries the glue, and that's going to make your nails hard enough to file. I personally prefer to do 2 full coats of activator. You can probably get away with 1, especially if you're doing only 2 coats of dip. But I have PTSD from a long time ago nail experience where I did not apply enough activator and I filed chunks of dip off my nail, and I never want to do that again because that was horrible. You have to redo your nails. It's a nightmare. So I like to play it on the safe side, do 2 coats of activator, then you're going to sit and you're going to wait and you're going to let this dry completely. This is going to take about 4 to 5 minutes. Once your nails are completely cured and set and dried, you can go in and start filing. My filing routine is pretty simple and pretty basic. It's going to depend, of course, on your nail shape, your nail length, all that good stuff. If you have to do any contouring. I really didn't for this manicure because the dip layers were super thin. So I'm just going to take my shape back to the way it was before I started dipping, because dip can bulk up your nails slightly. So I'm going to go around the sidewalls, clean up my free edge, and that's really all the shaping that I have to do for my nails. Once I have my shape reclaimed, I'm going to push back my cuticles a little bit, and I'm going to go in with the same file. It's a very skinny wooden nail file. I love these files. And I'm just going to perfect and round out the cuticle area, and that's literally all the filing I'm going to do. After I have the cuticle area done, I'm going to go in with my buffing block and buff the heck out of these nails. They didn't require a whole lot. I didn't have any lumps or bumps or anything, so you'll have to do what you got to do. But for me, the buffing block worked perfectly. I'm just going to graze over everything, make sure everything is nice and smooth before I go in with top coat. And I'm going to walk you through my no-fail top coat routine. I'm going to get rid of most of the dust with my brush, but to take it one step further, you could get up and wash your hands at this point if you wanted to, but I'm going to take my scrubby manicure brush with some alcohol on it, and I'm going to scrub down my nails to make sure there is not one teeny tiny speck of dust anywhere, because if there is, you're not going to be a happy camper later on when you finish your top coat. So get all that dust off, any dust, debris, whatever. Then you're ready for your top coat routine. So the first step to top coat routine is activator. Again, activator is what dries the base and the top. Base and top are essentially the same product. They're both glue. So you're going to activate so it cures the top coat. I'm going to apply activator. One coat is enough because you're only curing one product. You're not curing dip layers. So one coat of activator going down. You're going to want to let this dry for a good 2 minutes. Let it absorb into the nail. After 2 minutes has passed, I like to go in with a lint-free wipe. You can use a paper towel. And essentially, I am taking off any activator residue that is on the nail surface. This is going to make it much more difficult for you to contaminate your brushes. If you've ever hardened a dip top coat brush, if you know, you know. We want to prevent that, and I'm going to help you. So you want to take off that activator residue. It feels kind of like I'm rubbing it in, if you will, and I'm nothing on that wipe, no alcohol, no nothing. And now we're ready for top coat. So with top coat, the brush is pretty much the same as the base coat brush, so I know this holds a lot of product. So I'm going to go very light with the product. I'm going to do only 3 strokes down the nail, middle, side, and side, and I'm going to wipe the brush off on my paper towel. This is because if I have any activator residue that's on my brush, that can quickly contaminate, and if it goes back in the bottle, it can contaminate the entire bottle, rendering it useless, and nobody's going to be happy if that happens. So I find it imperative to clean off that brush on a paper towel in between every single nail. It takes 2 seconds. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a step that I like to take to prevent any product contamination. If you don't like buying nail products, if you have better things to spend your money on, that's just a little quick step you can take to ensure you don't need to. So I'm going to finish up doing that first coat of top coat to all 5 nails. And you do need to do 2 coats of top coat. I don't know what the science is or the magic or the sorcery, but that is the magic number. I'm going to let that sit for a minute, and your nails will tell you when they're ready. If you can see here, it's starting to look a little bit crinkled. That's usually a good sign that you're ready for coat number 2. So with coat number 2, your contamination risk is much lower, so you can take your time and be more precise and cap your free edge. However, because it is an air dry product, I'd recommend not taking forever and over manipulating the product, just because as it dries, you can smear it around, mush it around, and it may not look the way you want it to. You still want to make sure you're wiping your brush off on the paper towel because, again, we're trying to reduce our contamination risks. That's just a step I like to take. If you want to throw caution to the wind, I mean, have at it. Let me know how it goes. So once you have your top coat down, again, this is a super slow drying system. This did take a good long time for it to dry. It was at least 4 to 5 minutes before it was dry completely. So my final thoughts on these products, they're fine. I don't mind them. I don't know if I'd reach for them again. Again, I think there are other products that I would reach for on top ahead of these, and I will leave them linked down below for you guys along with everything that I showed in today's video. Here's what the nails look like from the side. They're not super thick, they're not bulky. I think they came out pretty nice, but not my favorite. If you've used OPI products in the past, comment down below and let me know what you thought about them. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I hope the rest of your day is as beautiful as you are, and I will catch you in the next one. Love you, bye.